Hi, this is Will Cady with SourceAudio, and this is the Soundblox 2 Orbital Modulator. Now this is a multi-modulation pedal with 12 different effects on there. There's choruses, resonators, flangers, phasers, and you can turn all of those into tremolos. This is the latest and greatest piece of work from Jesse Remignonti and Bob Chidlaw. And as with all of the SourceAudio pedals, it was designed from the get-go with bass players in mind. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to just take a quick tour through all the different effects, show you what they sound like, and we're going to dig into the interface and show you how you can navigate the many features of the Soundblox 2 Orbital Modulator. The best place to start with the Orbital Modulator is with the effect selector wheel in the center of the Orbital Modulator right here. Now, like all SourceAudio pedals, the Orbital is essentially a multi-effect unit within the family of one effect, in this case, modulation sounds. And when you start here at the very beginning, you have choruses moving into flangers, going to resonators, and phasers. And the way that we've organized it is because there's such a nuanced difference between a flanger and a chorus or a resonator. You can essentially think of starting with a more simple sound going to more extreme sound. Now, that doesn't mean that a resonator is a more extreme chorus, but as you move through the effect wheel, you're going to hear that the sound in the effect is becoming more intense. The next part of the interface to explore is the default select option that we've built in for every single effect preset on the pedal. To access this feature, press and hold the Option Select button until the 3 LEDs blink. This will take whatever effect you have selected on the center wheel and set it to what we consider to be the most optimal settings. Now, this is a good way to find a good sound out of the box or to find a good starting point for developing your own crazy sound. For this next clip, I used my personal favorite setting on the Orbital Modulator, the Resonator 1, and I used a pick on this clip to really bring out the accents of the effect. Here's what Resonator 2 sounds like with the distortion put before it. In this case, the gated fuzz from our bass OFD micro modeler. Now, the modulation source on the Resonator 2 is set to a reverse envelope filter, so hear how that sounds. One of the cool things about the modulation effects on the Orbital Modulator is that they can add a kind of vocal quality to some of the percussive things that you do on your instruments, so I kind of played with that a little bit on this next one. Once you've chosen your effect, there's a number of knob parameters that you can adjust to customize it. Now on the upper left you have depth, upper right you have speed, and then you have your modulation source on the lower right, and then back to the option select you have 6 different parameters that you can adjust with the option knob. Now, when it comes to increasing the extremeness of an effect that you've chosen, there are 3 knob parameters that are the best for that. The first is the depth knob, which in non-technical terms does precisely what it sounds like. It increases the depth of the effect. And then there's the delay/frequency knob. Now, for a flanger, what that does is it increases the time delay between the original signal and the affected signal so that it sort of increases that kind of hollow tubey sound that is so distinct with the flanger. And when it's frequency, that's for phasers, so it moves the frequency range around. And the third knob is the feedback knob. And what that does is it increases the amount of wet signal, affected signal, that is being channeled back into the effect. So if you start somewhere and you want the effect to get more extreme, those are the 3 places to start first. The mix function turns the option knob into a dual function knob. In the middle, at the 12 o'clock position, you have absolute dry, no effect signal. When you turn clockwise to the right, you're bleeding in a standard wet signal. When you get all the way to the right, that's 100% wet, no dry, and at about the 2 o'clock position, you have a 50-50 ratio. On the left side of the option knob, you have an inverted wet signal coming in. That will change the character of the effect a little bit. Same ratios apply. All the way to the left is 100%, and at about the 10 o'clock position, you have a 50-50 ratio. For bass players, you'll find that the right side of the mixing knob will preserve your low end the best. The modulation source knob has 4 different set parameters. You can have a positive filter sweep, a negative filter sweep on the other side, and in between you have a LFO sine wave and an LFO square wave. And you can move variably between these two. And when you're in between different functions, you have a blend of the two. So you can have a blend of envelope and LFO sine, a blend of LFO sine and square, and a blend of square and negative envelope filter sweep. You can save up to 2 presets on the Orbital Modulator, and you can do that by pressing and holding one of the 2 foot switches on the bottom. The Orbital Modulator also has a tap tempo function that's designed for easy hands-off access. When you have a preset saved, set the pedal off and then press and hold its foot switch until the opposite starts blinking. That will activate and toggle tap tempo. For this next clip, I used one of the coolest features for bass players on this pedal. You can use the low retain knob to essentially split the sound frequency range on your bass so that the low end is preserved from the effect and the high end gets the full brunt of the effect. So listen in for the difference between how the high notes that I'm playing sound and how the low notes that I'm playing sound. And that is all determined by where you set the low retain knob. When you plug the hot hand into the Orbital Modulator, it's defaulted to control the modulation of every effect. That's what I did for this next clip, but you can also, just like with all the Soundblox 2s, assign the hot hand to any of the knob parameters on the interface. For this next clip, I use an expression pedal to control the speed of the LFO to take it from a slow, kind of gentle, wavy sound to a more extreme, almost ring modulator kind of sound. For these next clips, I tried a variety of tremolo sounds using the sine and square wave LFO functions. The tremolo function increases the extremes of the volume disparity in the LFO. So as you move clockwise from left to right, you're getting closer and closer to a true tremolo sound. This can be applied to any of the effects on the center wheel. So that is a run-through of the features of the Soundblox 2 Orbital Modulator. A really powerful, not just phaser flanger effect, but amazing bass pedal. You can find out more at www.sourceaudio.net.